Hello and welcome to 5 Minutes with Dr. Fein. I am Mark Fein. He is Dr. Fein. I'm a guy who used to work in television, a host, reporter on sports and news, and did cover some education, but he is Dr. Fein. He's got 50 years of experience, and he's the guy whose expertise we look to. We both are part of a company called United Testing Service. You see right there on the bottom, the name right there, Dr. Fein. I'd like to, last time we spoke, I almost forgot to mention UTS. I would like it if you could start this week by just giving people a brief overview of who we are.
Well, United Testing Service has really a couple of goals. The first goal is to provide support services for schools, private schools, parochial schools, public schools, charter schools all over the country, and help provide them with the part-time specialists like occupational therapists, speech therapists, guidance counselors, educational psychologists, a support system that will enable them to better support the students in their schools. Secondarily, we are also available as a resource to the parents of all the children in all of those schools. So if there's a question that comes up, if there's a way in which you think we can help, then we're just a phone call or an email away.
And our emails will be on the bottom of the screen throughout our little podcast here as well. All right, let's get to it. We are going to do another segment of parents' responsibility in their child's education. And this week, I know you'd like to talk about nutrition. And that's something a lot of people might not think of when they think about their responsibilities in education. But I know this is a subject you've spoken on before, right?
Yes, it is. I lived in Miami for almost 40 years and did a lot of parenting workshops, and there were a lot of issues that came up in the classroom, and we found that there's a correlation between the nutritional background that children have when they enter school and their performance in school. For example, I would ask parents, do you make sure that your child leaves the house with a good nutritious breakfast? And they say, oh, yes, of course we do. I said, what would that be like? Well, we give them cafe con leche. I said, coffee? Oh, yes, coffee, but with plenty of sugar. Don't worry. I said, well, what about food? Oreo cookies with the coffee. Well,
Pop-Tarts.
the teachers then have to ply the kids off the walls and the ceilings in order to try and get them to focus and concentrate. And the first culprit, as far as negative impact on children's performance in the classroom, is sugar. For example, studies found that 20%, up to 20% of lower scores in reading and math and science for children who consistently eat fast foods or foods with high concentrate of sugar in them. And we think very often, parents think, well, I'm not adding any sugar. All I'm doing is I'm giving them cereal. Well, processed foods, if you take a look at a cereal box and see the amount of sugar that is in each portion of cereal that you're giving to your child, I think you would hesitate before doing that again. The second aspect of nutrition that affects students in their education is obesity. A study in 2017 showed that almost 20% of U.S. children aged 2 to 19 were classified as obese. Not a little overweight, obese. That comes out to almost 15 million children in our country who are obese. And obesity has a tremendous effect not only on learning, because statistics and studies show that children who are obese do not perform as well academically, but also there are a lot of emotional and behavioral components for children who are unfortunately often bullied because of body shaming.
Right.
Obesity is a second problem. And the third one may be easily the most important, and that is childhood hunger. Chronically hungry children score lower on tests. Their grades are lower. They have more behavioral challenges. They have lower math and reading proficiency. It isn't just intake of sugar. It isn't just intake of fast foods. It's your responsibility to see to it that your children eat, that they have a good meal, that they have nutrition, that they have the foundation that they need when they're showing up in the classroom. So what can you do? as a parent. I've just gone on and explained three major problems that can
Right.
interfere with your child's ability to learn. The question I can see that is rolling around in your mind right now is, okay, you told us what the problem is. What can a parent do about it? What should they do? What is the parent's responsibilities when it comes to proper nutrition? Well, the first thing is limit their intake of sugar.
Right.
The second thing is limit their intake of fast foods. Now, the first word that I used is a word that strikes fear into the hearts of many parents: limit.
Right.
Why is that such a fearful word for parents? You're a parent.
Well, it's fearful, but it's also ambiguous, right? Like, what does that mean? Does that mean once a week is okay? I think we all have heard the phrase, anything in excess, right? You just want to make sure
Yes,
you don't
everything in
do
moderation.
anything in excess can be bad for you. You're not saying don't ever eat fast food. You're saying it should not be the primary source of their diet, correct?
Correct. And not only not the primary source, but very infrequently. But the reason that the word limit strikes fear in the hearts of parents is because limit sometimes leads to confrontation.
Right.
Children want McDonald's. Children want fries. Children want sweets. And when you say no or you attempt to limit it, then there is conflict.
Absolutely.
So that we have to take that step of limiting the children. The second, another thing that you can do is monitor your child's weight. I weigh myself very frequently because if I don't do it and I don't watch my weight, there's a good chance that someday soon I would need my own zip code. So I have to monitor. And when I gain a couple of pounds, I say, hey, wait a minute. We're going to stop this intake of food and high caloric content, and I'm going to watch what I eat for the next few days. Well, if I can do that for myself, I need to do that for my kids as well.
I would interject there that I think also always important to consult your doctor. If you think your child has an obesity problem, that's something you should discuss with your doctor. As somebody who has, done a little bit of exercise in my lifetime, I also know that they often say that checking your weight regularly can be unhealthy. If you're focused on eating the right foods and eating the right portion sizes, the numbers will take care of themselves. So as a parent, if you're not sure how to handle it, or you don't have all of the information, we can't provide it in 5 minutes, all of the information in 5 minutes with Dr. Fein. If you think your child does have an issue, it's something absolutely you want to consult your pediatrician about.
Right. And what I'm suggesting is that we take these steps so that we don't get to the point where we have an issue with obesity and have to consult with a doctor. You used a word just now that also is an important thing that a parent can do, and that is exercise. It's really healthy for a child to get regular exercise. Get them out of the house, get them off their screens, get them participating in something that can be fun, thing they enjoy, whether it's a passion for dance or a passion for sports, whatever it is. If we can get them up and get them moving, it's in their benefit to do so. So regular exercise opportunities.
I want to just kind of push it along here a little bit in that I know you wanted to talk about a very important point, and I want to make sure we have plenty of time to get to it, because while I don't think this is political, it really has become political, unfortunately. But a lot of kids, we're talking about what to eat and when to eat and how to eat and all of these things. You've got to be able to eat. And unfortunately, we've got a situation in this country right now where there are a lot of children who can't even get any food.
You happen to be exactly right. And it's worse today than it was last year. And it's considerably worse today. We're talking about the vulnerable in our society. The parents who very much would like to provide nutritious meals for their children, but they don't have the money to do so. They don't have the ability to get the food and to prepare it and to provide their children with meals. As a society, for decades, we have, as caring, considerate people, put in place, using a small, very small, infinitesimally small part of the national budget, to help those children and see that no child in this country goes hungry. Well, in the last month, the statistics are frightening. One bill eliminated $12 billion $12 billion that was providing food for children in this country. Millions of children are going to be without food as a result of these budget cuts. And again, you say it's not political, and it's a question of what is reasonable. What do we as a country, what do we as people consider our responsibility in terms of helping people? And children are vulnerable. They can't go out and get a job at the age of 6 and 7 and 8 and work to get food so that they can afford to eat. They rely on compassionate adults to help them. And their parents may very well desperately want to help them, but don't have the means to do so. Parents, or as interested members of this society, at this point, the only thing that I think that we can do is to support whatever systems are available privately to help these students, and also write to your congressman, write to your senators, and say that there's something wrong about this. When society cannot take care of those who need us the most, there's something wrong with the way in which we're conducting ourselves.
Yeah, you would have to think that both sides of the aisle could come together on making sure hungry children get food.
They're everyone's children.
Yes. All right. We always finish up the show now. The show's relatively new, but our relatively new feature to the relatively new show is Lou's Laws.
Today's Lou's Law. When you start out by saying, I can, you probably will. When you start out by saying, I can't, you definitely won't. Be positive.
I love it. If you don't believe in yourself from the beginning, you're fighting a losing battle. I love it. All right. Great stuff, Dr. Fein. As always, we've been talking about parents' responsibility in their child's education, and we talked about good sleep. We talked about nutrition. This is going to be ongoing. It's a subject that we'll come back to time and time again. But great stuff as always. And again, another reminder, we're here to give you input. Feel free. If you have questions, email us. You've seen our email addresses at the bottom of the screen throughout the podcast today. Email us. Let us know what you want to talk about. Dr. Fein, any final thoughts?
My final thoughts are it's time for me to get some nutrition.
Yeah, me too. All right. If you're watching this just before dinner time, enjoy your meal. We'll see you next time on 5 Minutes with Dr. Fein.